Hello, it's Paige Green from Paige Green's Tutoring, and today is video 4 of a simultaneous equations series. So we're going to now focus on what to do when our coefficients are different. This means that the number in front of the x or y isn't the same in either case. So let's have a look at what we're going to do with these questions. The first question says 3x plus 8y equals 97, and then we've got 2x plus 4y equals 58. Now, looking at that immediately, you can see that we can't just add and we can't just take away because we have no numbers that are the same to cancel out. So what we're going to do is we're going to times one of the equations to make it that it's equal to a different coefficient. Looking at 3 and 2, we could multiply both equations, but 2 isn't a multiple of 3 and 3 isn't a multiple of 2, so we can't do that very easily. But if we look at 8 and 4, 4 is a multiple of 8, meaning that if I multiply this bottom equation by 2, my coefficients will be the same. So I'm going to multiply this second equation by 2. The top equation is going to stay the same, 3x plus 8y equals 97, whereas the bottom equation is going to change. Now I need to make sure to multiply everything by 2. 2x times 2 is 4x, 4y times 3 is 8y, sorry. And then 58 times 2 is 116. And now we can go ahead and add or subtract the equations. Now the signs are the same, meaning we're going to subtract. 3x take away 4x is minus x. The 8y's disappear, and then we're going to get minus 19 when we do 97 take away 116. Now just to get x on its own, we're going to divide both sides by -1 to get rid of that negative sign. Minus 19 divided by -1 is just positive 19. Now we're not done there. We need to find out what y is by substituting it back into one of the equations. So I'll just go for the top one. 3x plus 8y equals 97. Swapping that x for the 19. 3 times 19 is 57. And we've still got 8y and 97. Now I can go ahead and solve this equation. So I'm going to get rid of that 57 by taking it away from both sides, and then get rid of that 8 by dividing 8 on both sides, leaving me with y equals 5. Therefore, x equals 19 and y equals 5. We're going to go through another example like this before looking at a slightly trickier one. Here I have 9x minus 4y equals 59. And then I have 2x minus y equals 12. Now looking again at the 2 and the 9, there's not readily a multiple there, so that's going to be a bit tricky. However, if I look here, minus 1 and minus 4, well, 4 is a multiple of 1. So all I need to do is times this bottom equation by 4 to make those coefficients the same. So my top equation stays exactly the same, whereas my bottom equation, I'm timesing everything by 4. So I'm going to get 8x minus 4y equals 48, and it's so important you times everything. Now here I've got two negatives, the signs are the same, so that means I'm going to subtract. 9x take away 8x is just x. 59 take away 48 is just 11. So x is 11. Not done there yet, need to find out what my y is, so substitute it into any of the equations. So I've got 9x minus 4y equals 59. Swapping that x for the 11. 9 times 11 is 99. Take away 4y is 59. And now we're going to solve this. So I'm going to take away 99 from both sides, leaving me with minus 4y equals negative 40. And then to get rid of that negative 4, I'm dividing both sides by negative 4, leaving me with y equals 10. My answers here are x equals 11 and y equals 10. Now we're going to move on to a trickier example. If I look here, my 2x and my 5x don't look like they're easy to find a multiple, nor does my 2 and my 3. So this means I'm going to have to times both of the equations. Now, what I will do is I'll just look at these two here because they're smaller numbers. If I times my first equation by 3, that will become 6y. And then if I time my bottom equation by 2, that will become 6y. So I'm picking the 2 that I want, times in the top equation by the bottom number and the bottom equation by the top to make those coefficients the same. Now when I do this, remembering to times absolutely everything by 3. So 2x times by 3 gives me 6x, 2y times 3 gives me 6y, and then 14 times 3 gives me 42. Now on the bottom, making sure to times everything by 2, so I'm going to get 10x minus 6y equals 38. Now here, the signs are different. I've got a positive and a negative. So it means I'm going to add my equations together. 6 plus 10x is 16x. My y's will cancel out. 42 plus 38 is 80. Now to solve this, I've just got x on its own. I'm going to get rid of that 16 by dividing both sides by 16, leaving me with x equals 9. Not done there yet, need to find out my y, substituting it into any of the equations. So I'll go for my top one. So I've got 6x plus 6y equals 42. 6 times 9 is just 54, plus 6y equals 42. And now I can solve this. So I'm going to get rid of that 54 first by taking it away from both sides, leaving me with 6y equals negative 12, and then getting rid of that 6 by dividing both sides by 6. So I get y equals negative 2. Therefore, my answers here are x equals 9 and y equals negative 2. Now, before you have a go at these on your own, I'm going to go through one more example where we have to times both the top and the bottom equation. This example says 3x plus 3y equals negative 6 and 4x minus 4y equals negative 24. Again, looking at my x's and at my y's, there's not a straight multiple, so I'm going to have to times the top and the bottom. So I'll make my y's the same again. Let's times the top by the bottom number and the bottom by the top number. 3x times 4x is 12x, and then making sure to continue timesing by 4 for everything. And again, same on the bottom, making sure to times absolutely everything by that 3. Now here, the signs are different, meaning that we're going to add. And when I say the signs are different, I mean for the y's. So 12x plus 12x is 24. My y's cancel out. And then when I do negative 24, add negative 72, I get negative 96. Solving this by dividing both sides by 24 to get rid of it, leaves me with x equals negative 4. We're not done there yet. We need to find out what y is, so we're going to substitute it back into one of the equations. Let's go for 12x plus 12y equals negative 24. 12 times negative 4 is negative 48. Adding on that 12y gives us negative 24. So now we can solve it. Remembering the opposite of minus 48 is to add 48. So we're actually adding it to both sides here. And then getting rid of that 12 by dividing both sides by 12 leaves me with y equals 2. Therefore, our answers are x equals minus 4 and y equals 2. I'd like to invite you to now have a go at these two questions. Pause the video and press play when you're ready to go through those. Now the first one is one of our simpler ones. if we look at the y's, we can see that 2 is a multiple of 1. So all we need to do here is times our bottom equation by 2. The top one stays the same, making sure we're timesing absolutely everything by that 2 leaves us with this. Now the signs are different, so it means we're going to add these together to cancel out those y's. Once I add those together, you should get 7x equals 35, meaning x is 5 because you need to divide both sides by 7. You're not done there yet though, you need to find out what y is. So substituting it into any of the equations, you could have picked any. I'm going to pick this one here. I've got 3 lots of x plus 2y equals 23. Therefore I have 15 plus 2y equals 23. I can go ahead and solve this by getting rid of that 15 first, which leaves me with 2y equals 8, and then getting rid of the 2 at the end by dividing both sides by 2. So you should have got x equals 5 and y equals 4. The second one is a little bit trickier because we're timesing the top and the bottom. Now there is 2 ways you could have done it. You could have times the top by 4 and the bottom by 5, making the x's the same. Or you could have times the top by 4 and the bottom by 6 to make the y's the same. I'm going to go for making the y's the same. Now, if you made the x's the same, just follow through still and then just see if you're getting the right answers. So to make the y's the same, I need to times the top by 4 and the bottom by 6. If I do that, I'm going to write it underneath. So making sure I'm timesing absolutely everything on the top there by my 4. And then timesing absolutely everything on the bottom by 6. And you should have got this. Now here the signs are the same. So I'm going to subtract. 20 take away 24 is negative 4x. The y's cancel out and then I get negative 32. Now when I solve this, dividing both sides by negative 4 to get rid of that 4, I get left with 8. So if you did make the x's the same and you got x is 8, you know you're probably on the right track. You're not done there yet, you need to substitute it back in to find out what your y is, and it doesn't matter which equations you do. I'll just pick this one here. So I've got 20 lots of my 8 minus 24y equals 112. That's 160 minus 24y equals 112. Getting rid of that 160 by taking it away from both sides leaves me with negative 24y equals negative 48. And then I'm going to divide both sides by that negative 24 to get rid of it, which leaves me with y equals 2. So your answers here should have been x equals 8 and y equals 2. In the last video of the series, which is our next one, we're going to look at setting up and solving simultaneous equations, so more when they're in a worded situation.